Hi, here's a wee clip I'm trying to do about Callanders, just up by the canal. As you can see in the foreground, the middle at the top there, that's Bainsford Church, so you get an idea of where I am. In front of that, there's a white building, and that white building used to be Callanders' box factory. You may remember that. I knew the lass that actually ran that for Callanders, and her name was Jane Kirkwood. I knew her for a while. That was her job she got when she left school, and she was there until it finished. Now, as I say, it was a box factory. They made wee boxes, simple, eh? The boxes were used for transporting fruit, vegetables and so on. They were widely used all over Scotland that I can recall. And at one time I used to go up to Arbroath to get some smokies. I loved the Arbroath smokies. And Ruby Tide at that time, it was a box. You got them the same type of boxes. Obviously the smokies would be wrapped up and placed in a box, and that's what they used. Funny that. However, I used to get about 3 boxes and come home and would dish them out amongst the family and some of the neighbours. But the boxes I always gave to Jane, and she took them down to the factory because they get used again. But like everything else, everything has to come to an end. And although most of Scotland used these boxes for transporting their veg and all the rest of it, cardboard, plastics, all that sort of stuff started to come out. You could get a cardboard box lined with plastic, waterproof, seal-proof, all that. So people started to opt to go for that kind of thing. Obviously, that affected the box factory here at Callanders, and eventually Jane and the lassies lost their job because they closed it down. I'll never forget that. The building's still there, as you see. It's used, I think it's something to do with these vans here at the moment, but all that area where these vans are was Callanders at one time. But because the box factory closed down, that wasn't the end of Callanders. Because a new thing had just started to the right of the white building there. They installed a big circular saw. And I can remember a way back, they erected a roof over the saw, obviously to protect it from the elements. And apparently they had some kind of agreement or contract with the Forestry Commissioner in Fife to supply logs, etc. And they were brought here. And where all these vans are now, they were usually lined up there, and the men would pull them over to the saw and cut them up into various lengths and so on. But where I'm sitting now, although there's a road going to the right down to the bypass here, this was really a straight road coming from the box factory right away to the back of me, which was Murchison Foundry. But I'll do a wee clip about Murchison Foundry later. Well, as I say, Callanders kept on doing this, cutting up the logs, etc. And then they discovered, my God, this is catching on here. We've no got the room now. So they decided to expand. So they ended up, they closed this side of the factory down, and they moved down to Abbotsford Road, and that's where they committed their factory, cutting wood and all the rest of it. Until there, they were turning over about 10 million, no, 20 million I think it was a year. That was their turnover, far as I can remember. But like everything else, good things come to an end again. Although they were good turnover, after a few years they find it difficulty in the cash flow side. And this is really what killed a lot of businesses. They did work, but clients were very slow in paying them for the work. Sometimes they never did pay. But that was a wee thing that I saw when I was growing up. The death of the box factory, then the growth of the sawmill, James Callanders sawmill, from that wee place over there where these vans are, right down to Abbotsford Road. And now that's no longer there. But like everything else in the Bainsford area, industry started to close down. The BA, Coburn's, Allied, Mungo, Cairn Works, British Aluminium, and that's just to name just a few. You don't really realise that until you get older. You've seen all the businesses here, then suddenly they just disappear. And just to think, all these factories were more or less manned by most people in Bainsford, Langley's area. That was their income to feed their families, to pay their rent and all the damn rest of it. But when all these companies closed down, you can just imagine how they felt and what they must have went through. But in the background there, you'll see the top of the church, Bainsford Church. I done a wee clip about that a few days back, and you saw the condition of it at the front and at the side. But there's no decision being made about that yet. It's still standing, just. I wonder what the outcome will be for that. Any ideas? Any comments? Put them on. By the news.